Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser coming to you from my music corner of the world. Welcome to another edition of Album Track Ranking A through Z. And today's episode is brought to you by the letter C. So, on the first two episodes of this series, I went with some pretty heavy hitters. I went with AC/DC, Dirty Deeds, went with Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. Today, we're going to venture off into a totally different genre, a totally different sound. Maybe not a heavy hitter, and maybe not an artist that you will have heard of, unless you listen to the particular genre that this person belongs to. Now, this person would make a splash in the 80s, being known they would be a backup singer in John Hyatt's band for a while. In 1987, this artist was included on the Ernest Goes to Camp soundtrack with a song called "We're Gonna Win This One." Good friend of Pam Tillis, country singer. Um, and so, if you haven't, maybe you haven't figured it out, maybe you have. I don't know. If you have, great. The person I'm talking about is Ashley Cleveland. Now, Ashley Cleveland is a soul singer, soul, bluesy, classic rock, country, folky kind of sound, a little bit of everything there. Um, and a lot of that comes from her husband, Kenny Greenberg, well-known guitar player, session player, brought kind of a rock and roll element to a lot of country stuff. I think he was a touring musician for some big artist. I can't remember who off the top of my head. But he would go on to produce and co-write a lot of music with Ashley Cleveland, his wife. And the album that I'm going to be talking about today, is actually going to be this live album called "You Are There," and this is taken from a song of hers that came out on her third album, um, which is this one called "Lesson of Love." Um, she has two prior albums to that. She had this one, which I flashed up earlier, which is called Big Town. This was actually released on Atlantic Records. For folks who maybe might recognize some names here, her backing band for this album included people like Greg Kampf, who I believe also produced this. He was on drums and percussion. I believe he did a little bit of work on Paul Stanley's solo 1978 album, and I'm sure he did much other things. There was a fellow named Glenn Worf on bass, Bill Cuomo on keyboards, and of course Kenny Greenberg on electric and acoustic guitars. Ashley would also play some acoustic as well. So this was her debut. Her style would probably fit if you are into maybe like Alana Miles, Melissa Etheridge, maybe some Janis Joplin when she wouldn't go um real high screechy. She kind of has this kind of raspy voice about her. Um, she produces and sings predominantly in the Christian rock genre. This album, Lesson of Love, garnered her a Grammy for Best Rock Gospel Album, as did this one. And so this would really be kind of my main introduction to Ashley. Um, there would be a video of her performing for a particular, I think it was called Stone Country, kind of a country tribute to the Rolling Stones. And she did a version of "Gimme Shelter," and so this was a little bit more. This was a very rocking song, very well done performance, and it shows up on this album right here. So this album is actually a mix of there's a couple of just straight up acoustic tracks. songs from her previous albums, and a few new songs thrown in there. So let's go ahead and get into this again. 1998's "You Are There" album, which came out on the 204 Records label, which was kind of through. I think it was a little bit of a subsidiary of Warner, kind of their own thing. Um, so this album really for me is it's this. I mean, this is kind of like a greatest hits. So this album is really hard for me to break down into a top ranking because it's there's I love every track off this album. So it's really difficult to say this is going to be the bottom track. And so unfortunately, the song that gets that dubious honor is the second track off this album called "Your Saving Grace," which is one of the just the straight up acoustic songs with her and Kenny, with Kenny just shining on this very bluesy feel, like you're back in the 30s, um, watching the guitar players busk away on the street corners and hearing them in the juke joints. It's just a really strong national guitar playing on that song. Um, Number nine is actually the album closer, which is another pretty much just a straight up acoustic song. This is something she had co-written with her friend Pam Tillis, and it's a song called "You Don't." Can't read my notes. You don't have to take this from me. Uh, Beautiful album closer again. I hate to put any of these songs at the bottom, but something's got to take it. But this is just a nice, somber, quiet closing to the album, which I thought really fit in nice. Um, Number eight is a track called Lucky Never Had It So Good. This is a really driving rock track, and it's really it really just talks about faith in God pretty much and how, you know, Lucky Lucky never had it so good really because, luck if you're trusting on luck, well, you're really putting your faith in a lot of things in this world, but if you're putting your faith in God and just trusting in his providence that his path will show you a different way and maybe his way. And that's kind of the idea of luck and superstition of striking irons and different things like that. You know, if that's what you're putting your trust and your faith in, well, lucky never had it so good because man, when God brings people together, there's just something that you just can't describe. So that's kind of where I go with that. Number seven, is this would be a song on her really another upbeat rocker. This one's about one of her children, her children Henry. That's a song called Henry Doesn't Care. This is just a really nice whimsical song about her one of her children, and it's a fun track, really driving track. Um, Number six, this is going to be taken from her first album, Big Town. This is on the CD, it divides the songs into two tracks. I'm going to combine it on one for this. Um, the Andre Crouch song, Soon and Very Soon, which then leads into a song called Big Town, which is just a wonderful look at, I'll see you in the big town, and this is basically just this really is a song, a very autobiographical song about her and just how her life has gone and just how she just turned her life around. And, just basically telling folks, hey, I'll see you in the big town. It was a song about basically just a song about heaven. Um, Next one up is a very bluesy, just driving take on a hymn called "Revive Us Again." This is really where the gospel sounds really shine through with the organ. Ashley's just soulful, bluesy voice just takes off, and just a beautiful arrangement of this song. Um, Number four is a song called "He Is," which was featured on as well on the "Lesson of Love" album. Sorry about the glare. Anyway, originally featured there. This is a just a really good funky epic song. This is about a 6.5 minute live track here. Uh, Originally written by a gospel singer named Buddy Green, who co-wrote the Christmas song "Mary Did You Know" with Lowry. I can't think of his first name now. Gosh, that's terrible. My wife would kill me for that. Um, anyway, um, anyway, yeah, great, another great solo spot here with Kenny, just shining with his just tasty licks and his tasty tone. Absolutely great song. Number three is gonna be their version of her version of Gimme Shelter. Different band featured on this song as opposed to the rest of the band tracks, but this is just a really driving. She really shines on this song. Again, great solo by Kenny, and then a second solo, I believe, by Phil Madeira. Um, Again, great take on the song. A little different without the banshee vocal that you come to know and love on the original uh, of the Rolling Stones. But it's just they still do such a wonderful track of version of this. Um, the number two is going to be a driving acoustic track, which I believe is about her oldest daughter, and There Goes My Baby. Just a wonderful kind of an alternative tuning track to this. Again, just a solo acoustic song. Man, I've always liked this song so much that I tried to learn how to play it on guitar, and I actually managed to figure it out. So, or at least some of it. I don't know if I remember most of it, but it's a wonderful track. And then the last track, the top, my favorite song off this has always been the title track, basically from this album. It's called "You Are There," and it's a wonderful title for an album, for a live album, because it really, I mean, it really puts you there in the audience as you're listening to this album. um it's again, it's another one of those songs. Ashley's lyrics were just so real and honest about her faith and about where God was taking her and continues to take her. And to me, this song is just a wonderful reminder of that. Um, so there you go. That's one thing you'll probably notice when I do this A through Z series is these albums are, I'm just not just picking just random albums from A to Z. There's reasons for why I'm picking some of these albums. They're very seminal to me. They're very influential. They're very much in my DNA. So this is almost like getting another piece of my soul, as it were. To learn more about Ashley Cleveland, she's got about after this one, she did about five more albums. Um, we have 2001, I believe. This album here called Second Skin. Um, this album here, which was 2005. Oh, I can't read the writing here. God Don't Never Change, which is a take on an old blue Blind Willie Johnson song. Um, let me see here. I believe this album is actually all blues songs, old gospel blues songs. Let's see. Then we have Before the Daylight Shot. This was another Grammy rock gospel album winner. This one was in 2008. Another just wonderful, wonderful album. Um, and then we have 2000. I can't read these things. They're so they're so small, so I apologize for that. Um, this one is Men and Angels Say, another great album here. This would be more of a this is a little bit more of hymns, an album basically of hymns. But another wonderful, wonderful album. And then the most recent um was this album here, Beauty to the Curve, or Beauty in the Curve. Um, She would also release an album called One More Song, um, which, to my knowledge, has not been released on a physical media. And if it is, then I need to get it. But it correlated with a memoir that she came out with. Basically, a wonderful book, wonderful read on her life, and just again, what how God has just been just so good to her, and how God has led her through her life. So there you go. Um, I'm sure a lot of folks will probably be a little turned off by a more of a faith turn on this particular album, but again, for those who know me well, and have if you've gone into my channel, there is actually a video where I've done a kind of my story, and it's a faith driven story. So anyway, so there's something a little different than what I had done before. Looking forward to doing the letter D next week. So that'll be a good one. So if you are a fan of Ashley Cleveland, if you are familiar with her, please let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Until next week, when we come back to you, brought to you by the letter D. So we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.